Structures. A few months ago, there was a wonderful program on BBC by David Embry called How We Build Britain. And I got this fantastic thing from him. For every problem, the Victorians had a building. You know, they created the asylum, the rail stations in Manchester, the town halls, etc. So here's a problem, here's a building. That was the Victorians. We are worse than the Victorians. For every problem, we have a structure. We have a team. We have a cross-functional team. We have a committee. We have a new structure. We solve things by structural aspects. We provide structural solutions to business problems. We have to do that. Let's have a team. You know, it comes to us. Why do you have to have a team? Why can't anybody try to deal with the whole thing individually, for example? So the structural aspect is, again, something that we have to be aware of. Again, because we have a process hypertrophy. We have processes all over the place. I don't know you guys, but all my clients are process, and everybody's very happy with that. I don't know if you've seen that before, but it's an old tale again of a caravan of donkeys with these bags going backwards and forwards through the border in a remote country every single day. And the guard at the border is, as you can imagine, very intrigued, and he's going there every time and saying, you know, these guys are smuggling something. I don't know what it is. So he goes to the sand with the bags, and he finds sand all the time. And again it happens, and can't put the finger to anything, but nothing obvious, and the caravan goes backwards and forwards every single day. The guard retires. And when he's retired, goes back to the guy and says, look, I'm not in the authority system anymore. I'm retired. I don't care. Please, tell me what you have been smuggling all these years. The answer was donkeys. And we have exactly the same problem in our organizations. We don't see the donkeys. We don't see the obvious. The obvious is there. We are very happy on say, what do you see on that? Well, some people see donkeys, very few, and other people, you know what the commercial people would say to that? Oh, I see a potential here to maximize the sand trade and increase the ROI by reducing the number of donkeys by 5% and increase the size of the bags by 50%. That's what they would see. But it's not about that, it's donkeys. Again, we have to educate ourselves and our children and our own employees and whatever we recruit to see the donkeys when there is a donkey. Processes are a little bit of a problem. And there is a tension which you can say as a scientist, well, I'm going to switch off on this one, because on one hand you have innovation, and on the other has effectiveness, which is something that the commercial people talk a lot, quite a lot. And in the innovation side you have, I've just been preaching unpredictability, but in the effectiveness side, what do you want? Repetitive, reproducible, reliable processes. Is that what you want? So it seems to be a little bit of a conflict between one thing and another. You want trial and error and play and prototype, I said, and you're preaching zero defects, and this horrendous, stupid statement of do it right the first time. Which, as scientists, you're going to say, well, if I don't do that, I don't know. I know. I've been there as well. But it just doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. Prototyping and trying is what drives innovation, but it's attention there. We said that we need some irrationality, some contrarian views, and what do we want? A rational logic comfort of making sense. It's not the first time maybe you have done a web. I've seen it before in my own teams before when somebody comes to somebody else and says, well, it's very good, do it like that, it's very good, these guys, It's just a little bit creative. Which means, oh my God, I don't know what's going to happen. Or we say the same for manager. It's very good manager, just a bit emotional. So we just put in all these labels and things that we don't want. We want the logical rationality, predictability, but we want innovation which deals with something else. And we want some kind of almost unfinished state of things, and a stable situation, and we want closure all the time. I don't know whether you use that word, but it drives me absolutely nuts with my clients when they say, we have a meeting, we have to have a closure on that. What do you mean a closure? Maybe there is no way to close anything because we don't know what to close. We have to have a closure. So the meeting is not good if there is no closure, which means if there is no outcome which is clear and dusted for the sake of doing it. Versus saying, I don't know what the answer is to that. So there is no closure. But no closure makes people extremely anxious. And what you want is to have something that is all the time. What's happening with this now? What have I done? What have I done? Okay. I would define Google as a company in permanent beta state. And actually, it's not just the company, it's the products. They seem to create something beta every day, and they leave it like that, and nobody cares about the rest. The rest thing is everything in permanent. Anyway, that's a conversation for another day. But agree with me that there are going to be competing behaviors there. If you want people to go in one way, they are unlikely to get it the other way. We have to be very aware of that. For you, in any organization, whether scientific or no, you have to be very aware. You can't have both things. Let me give you let me stretch the argument a little bit more, because I had this argument with a client the other day. It's a client where innovation is there, and we have to reinforce innovation. I'm a behavioral scientist, which means that my mantra number one is to say, if you want a behavior, please reinforce that behavior, otherwise it's not going to be there. So any behavior that is not reinforced will fade. Every behavior that is reinforced will have a chance of continue, and there are lots of behavioral scientists probably as well here. Okay, so it's very simple stuff. But then you say, okay, we want innovation, so John and Peter have done something which is a very well done job. Reinforce means say thanks or congratulate or give money or whatever it is. But no, we want to reward innovation. Well, then you can't reward that. What do you mean you can reward what? It's a job well done. I want to reward are you telling me that you want to reward a job well done? No, you want innovation, because this is a job well done. You see the difference? You can have both. If you say, as my client said, well, I want both. Okay, you can have both. You can reward anything you want, but then you are not shooting for anything. You want well-done jobs and innovation, fine. The chances are you won't get anything. You get a little bit of mixture of things, but not something that is specific. I know it's a little bit of a stretch in the argument, but it's important.